Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1, everyone's favourite Formula One YouTube channel. And today we are looking at the brand new Alfa Romeo. This has been launched today, and it's an interesting one because it seems like they've shown their actual car, and it's a new livery. The launch itself was at 9 AM, which is earlier than all the rest of them, and it took place in what looked like the Jeremy Kyle studio, which was interesting. It was presented by Tom Clarkson, who has the exact same voice as Will Thingamabob. I can't remember his name. What's his name? You know, the guy who did the Williams thing. They have the exact same voice, and I'm sure they are kind of bred in some kind of clone facility inside the Formula One HQ to make presenters of Formula One stuff. But let's have a look at the Alfa Romeo. Here it is. So basically what they've done is the bit here that was white is now black. We can get a better view here looking down. I think it looks good. It's decent. I like it. I think what we're seeing here is a weight-saving livery. The black parts are probably just non-painted to save as much weight as they possibly can. And the red parts are actually gloss. You don't see as many gloss liveries anymore, which is a shame. They've all gone to matte, because I think matte paint is lighter. But gloss, it looks nice. So the actual presentation itself was pretty good. We met this fella, whose name is Alessandro Aluni Bravi, and he is basically the Alfa Romeo team principal this year, although this year Alfa Romeo do not have a team principal because they're not taking the name of team principal. Instead, their official title is Managing Director of Sauber Group and Alfa Romeo F1 Team Representative, but it will basically be the team principal, and I think he looks a little bit like Zachary Quinto off of Heroes back in the day, but with white hair. So the car itself, what can we talk about? Firstly, and most importantly, wheel things. Look at that. I mean, the Alfa Romeo had the wheel things last year, but they've carried on. They've actually painted the wheel caps, which if you've been watching my car launch videos, you will know it is the most important thing for me. But let's have a look at some things which are actually interesting. And for that, let's go to this picture right here, because I believe everything you need to know is in this picture right here. Now, of course, the Alfa Romeo runs a Ferrari engine, and last year we saw quite a few technical issues with the Ferrari engine, especially for Alfa Romeo, and especially for Zhou Guanyu, who I think had the most retirements of anyone last year, unless I'm wrong. That might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's correct. Now, in my Haas launch video, I talked about how having a black body over the engine might be an issue for overheating. And I didn't know if that was the correct thing to say or what, but that was just what was on my mind at the time. But it seems like Alfa Romeo may also be concerned about overheating, because we've got these here for cooling, these here for cooling. You can see these from a top-down view. Look at that, that's there for cooling the engine. And now, last year they had this air duct here which had the split down the middle. They had that last year for cooling. This year, it's a double-decker. There's a second one on top of the first one, which I've never seen before in my life. But that's there now, probably, and I don't know the intricate design of this, but I imagine each section of this directs air to a different part of the engine to keep it cool. So it seems like Alfa Romeo may be quite concerned that the engine will overheat, which may be the reason for so many DNFs for them last year. Another thing a lot of people are talking about is this bit of the floor here with these little spiky things here going up. Let's see the down view there. You can see them there. Now, what that will be designed to do is to direct the airflow that will come from here in the car or underneath the car up and over the rear wings and the rear tyres to give the car a bit more downforce. As you can see there, they're angled up to go up and over the tyre. But what will also happen with these is it is an absolute tyre destroyer, because let's say you're going wheel to wheel with this car here, and your wheel somehow touches that here, that's an instant puncture. And also will severely damage these, because I do not imagine these are particularly strong. So if, the thing is with these car reveals is there's no confirmation that this car will be the car that we will see in testing, and there's no confirmation that the car we'll see in testing will be the car that we will see on the first race of the year. So who knows if these things here will actually stick around for the final car. I hope they do, because I think they're neat. But I imagine if you went over a curb quite heavily, some of these might fall off or something like that. It's quite a delicate part of the car, but I like it a lot. And, I hope at one point that someone's wheel does touch that, just to see what's going to happen. What else is there to talk about here? It's a good-looking car. I like it a lot. Alfa Romeo had a weird year last year. Obviously, they had a lot of DNFs, as I've said already. But Alfa Romeo, for a few years now, have been kind of a nothing team. They don't finish at the back. They definitely don't finish at the front. They're just in the lower middle. They're just there. Like, there's so many times when Raikkonen was in the team, you'd be like, oh, Raikkonen, he finished 9th, or something like that. And I think they deserve more than that, and I think once, of course, the Audi badges get stuck on this, then the eyes of the world will be upon them. So I hope they enjoy this year, where this might be the last few years of people maybe not paying as much attention to them, unless, of course, their results improve drastically. Let's talk about this man and his fabulous moustache and hair. It's Valtteri Bottas. Interesting thing that came out about Valtteri this week. Apparently he's done an interview this week where he discussed leaving Mercedes, which was the end of 2021. And he said that he went to a psychiatrist who said that his emotional state upon leaving Mercedes was that of a robot who could not do emotions and was only set on goals. Apparently he's in a much better place now, which is fantastic to hear, and I think you can definitely see that. The Valtteri we see here is a polar opposite to the Valtteri we saw in Mercedes. And I think maybe it's the pressure that was on him, or the constant comparisons to Lewis, or I don't know what it was, but he seems a lot happier now, and I'm happy for him. Good guy. And then we also have Zhou, who I think last year had a very underrated rookie season. The thing about the Alfa Romeo last year was it came in the first few races and was the lightest car of the entire field, so it had quite an advantage there. But then as the season went on, all the other cars kind of caught up to them in terms of weight. So as the season went on, the car's performance went down and down and down. But Zhou's actual talent and skill, I think, went up and up and up. The issue was, at the start of the year, Valtteri got all the points, because obviously he's very talented and very experienced. So while the car was good, Zhou wasn't necessarily there, and when the car was bad, he came into his own. I think this year we might see a bit more close between these two guys. Zhou's got a bit more experience underneath his belt. I think they can do well, and I think they're a good pairing as well. They seem to get on very well, and they seem to get on very well in the interview they did at the press conference. Shout out to Ed Straw from the Race Podcast. If you don't listen to the Race Podcast, I'd very much recommend listening to that. If you're a newer fan, maybe it gets a bit complex at times, but overall I think it's very good, and they're very good at dissecting the news and technical stuff, and they've got a really good team there, hosted mostly by Ed Straw. And here at Stop and Go F1, we stan Ed Straw. So here we are, Alfa Romeo for 2023. Else I want to discuss. We've discussed the wheel things, of course, funky floor, cooling, air ducts, Zhou and Bottas. It's looking good. I mean, side pod there, Red Bull-esque, of course, because I think that's the way the majority of the field will go, apart from Mercedes, who will probably stick with the no pods. Finish on that there. Beautiful Italian flag across the back. I remember, I think it was the Ferrari of 2010, 2011, had a massive Italian flag on the back. I like it a lot. It looks good. Coming back to me now. So, there we have it. That's the Alfa Romeo, and that's the end of this lovely video here. We'll be back again for the next one, which I believe is Alpha Tauri, who are also out in New York with the rest of the Red Bull lads. And when is that? is the question. That is on the 11th. So today is the 7th. When's the 11th? The 11th is Saturday. So it's on the weekend now. So unless anything massive happens, you won't see me again now until Saturday. Unless, of course, you're subscribed to the Reese B YouTube channel, where a video will go out this Friday. So until then, have a lovely week, and goodbye.